So what were you like at school?
I was if I look back on school, it was one of the biggest missed opportunities. Like, I would have been a little victim at school. I would have been, in fact, a good friend of mine later described me as a social invertebrate, as in I just didn't have a social backbone. I didn't get it. And partly it could have been being brought up out in the wilds and maybe not having that level of social engagement.
So out of
I,
interest on that point, at
yeah,
what point did you come back to civilization, kind of, the mainland kind of thing?
if I was to show you out the window where I live now, you'd wonder if I do. Like, you could just see trees and hills for miles. Um, I guess age 11, I left the little island, Papa Stewart, it's called, in Shetland. I left the island and I moved to the mainland of Shetland.
But 11 is quite
I
late, you
mean,
know what I mean? It's so understandable.
that was me as a kid on my own.
Hmm.
Like, my parents were still on the island, but we went away to school, so we were away for a couple of weeks at a time. But in terms of what I was like at school, yeah, just a real missed opportunity. In fact, that's probably one of my drivers now in terms of helping other people express themselves, is probably a missed opportunity feeling from my own school time when I definitely didn't express myself well. And I kind of took on a bit of victim status. I maybe got a wee bit bullied as an 11, 12-year-old, but probably most kids do.
Mm.
But I kind of let that live with me at the time.
Okay.
Whereas looking back on it, if I just engaged and got involved in the banter rather than taking it too seriously, I think I had a lot better time. So no, I've got no complaints about my schooling, but yeah, not one of my finest hours, that's for sure. Yeah, glad to get out of school in the end, I would say.
Because one of the things that I've seen with a lot of guests is, I know it's almost true with myself, is that I was always good at school, but because I was never picked up as being short-sighted until I went to uni, I'd always sit at the back of the class because that's where the cool kids sit, and I was always good at my work. But because
Yeah,
I couldn't see the board properly, I'd lose interest and therefore be
yeah,
disruptive. And it's the same kind of thing that, ironically, that in some ways you think I could have got better grades, but actually almost I think it's that drive to achieve something, or the feeling that you didn't achieve what you could have, is probably what burns the fire now. And I think I see
yeah,
that a lot because obviously I interview people every week now. So actually I think in some ways a lot of entrepreneurs have that trait.
yeah. It's probably a fair point. I guess you can let these things define you in a negative way, or
Yeah.
you can try and find a positive out of them. So I suppose we're just finding a positive, because you could just say, well, it was wasted time. And you could say that about a startup or whatever as well, couldn't you? Or you could
You say
say,
about
well,
anything. Yeah.
X, Y, Z.